about leaders in wellness. So I'm going to start off by saying I'm what they call the nutritional Nazi, I guess. So I had the nutritional counseling in our department and 8 weeks wellness. So we'll kind of dig into that a little bit, but we're just going to kind of do a quick review on leadership. We've been getting a lot of kind of the same nuggets, so it's kind of been nice that everything is going to kind of intertwine with each other. But as I was doing a little bit of research on leadership in general, I found some good nuggets here. So obviously, number one is visionary. We've all kind of went through that already. And the biggest thing with visionary is being forward-looking. Don't look in the past, don't look in the present, go look forward. And it's just like Jeff and Paula. If you're stuck at the wall because you can't look past it, it's going to prevent you from being the leader you need to be. And the second one is being an educator. The biggest thing I can take out of this is that doctor means educator. And if we're not educating every single person that walks into our door, we're not doing what our entitlement tells us to do. And that doesn't just stop at the doctors, it starts at the staff, from the front desk to as soon as they walk in the door, through every single experience they have in our office and as they leave. Communicator, that kind of goes along with educator. They're very two strong characteristics that we need to have. This is what I'm working on. I'm not a big talker. I'm very good off the stage per se, but this is what Big Fish has done for me. It's made me better at something that I wasn't that great at. But communicating, and the biggest thing is out in the community. So make sure you're doing your community talks. What was it, Monday? You guys signed up 18 people in a 10-minute talk, and we had to schedule them almost to the end of January because we didn't run from. So we were able to touch people in 10 minutes and educate them about chiropractic in general, and that was a snippet of our time. So make sure you're communicating with people and being wise with your time as well. And then innovator. The biggest thing that I can say with this is being creative and having fun. I know definitely in NLC you guys have a lot of fun, and it shows here as well. And that's what we try to do on a regular basis, especially for our clients. We find different things to do, internal events like kids' carnivals, stuff that's going to relate and reflect to what we are, who we are, and that reflects onto our clients as well. Motivator. Motivator kind of just goes back to the testimonials. Testimonials are huge, and I don't feel as the chiropractic family that we are doing as well of a job as we should at sharing those wins. And this is something that I've kind of installed in the two boys is every week find a client that you want to share their win with and do the video and put it on Facebook so that we can have that and do that continuously. So people are constantly seeing it. I mean, we can post articles all we want, we can do all this stuff, but when they see a personal win, it's really huge. And this kind of brought me back to one of the testimonials that I found within a daily devotion that I was doing. I'm just going to read you a little excerpt out of that because it's kind of really interesting. You're going to find a lot through this talk that chiropractic and Christianity really kind of go together. I don't know, it's just something I came to the epiphany of while preparing for this, so I'm going to be playing a little bit on that a lot. But this just talks about Revelation 12:11, and it says, "They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." And then basically the author says that that's maybe why the enemy wants us to keep our testimony silent. And so I look at, as far as us, if we're not giving God our win, the non-Christians aren't going to believe that God is good because they're not seeing the good in our life. And so we have to share those wins with every single person that we see, regardless of whether we believe that they're a believer or not. The same thing with chiropractic. If we're not sharing our wins, they're not going to see the glory that chiropractic can do in your life. And so sharing those testimonies are a huge input. So I'm going to put that, on your shoulders. Do something this week that's going to share that testimony. This is going to make you a really strong leader where you're at. Advisor, the biggest thing for advisor is just the accountability part. We definitely, we kind of just touched about that a lot this morning already. But accountability goes a long ways in every aspect that you look at. I rely on hugely. A lot of people think I got it all figured out, that's not true. I have to have accountability in my life, or I don't do things that I said, tell my clients to do. And by doing that, it makes you responsible, it makes you follow through, and definitely makes you a more successful person. And then facilitator, and that's basically leading by example, influencing everybody, and then walking the walk and talking the talk, doing all and whatnot. So as I looked at all these and kind of compiled them together, I found a video, which is kind of inspiring, but I want you to think of every single one of these and whether or not you're putting every single one of these into your life. So are you being visionary with your staff? Are you being an educator with your staff? Are you being a communicator, innovator, motivator, advisor, facilitator? Are you doing that with your clients? Are you doing that with your family? Are you putting every single one of these aspects in your life? Because if you are, and you can say yes to every single one of them, that means that you're a really strong leader.
Thank you, Christy. You talk about being an innovator, and I think it would be a perfect opportunity for you to talk about the shirt that you're wearing.
Okay. Yep.
Maybe you could explain what that is, because I see a lot of them in the room here today. So.
Yep. So this just kind of goes into like what I'll talk about in a little bit too, as well as defining your clients. Choosing who you want to treat, and putting all of your energy into that. Because a lot of times, if you look at the medical profession, there's the regular, MDs, and there's the specialists. And a lot of times, I feel like sometimes the specialists are a little bit more advanced because they're specializing in one thing. And sometimes when you put your heart and soul into one thing, you can move mountains with that. And we've chosen in our clinic to focus on people who are sick and want to get healthy, and kids. And until we really reformed our office into more of a childlike environment, we didn't see the numbers go up until we did that. So obviously we had the chairs and the tables and the videos and all the toys and stuff, but we weren't engaging into the children like we really wanted to. And so I came up with what you call a Cairo buck, and I'll pass this along so you can see what it looks like. Compliments of Steve on my computer. He does a lot of good stuff. But basically what happens is the kids come into the office, and if they A, have a good adjustment, B, are good for their parents while everybody's getting adjustment, and C, just have a nice big positive attitude. As long as it's right with their parents, we let the parents decide, they get a Cairo buck every time they come in. And they can cash it out for a $1 prize, they can cash it out for a $5 prize, or they can keep it for 20. And the other stuff's little, but the 20 is the t-shirts, and it's basically they become a member of our Cairo Kids Club. And this does multiple benefits, especially as a mom. I know firsthand when you go places, it's nuts. Kids are crazy, they don't want to listen, they get all crazy. And so it not only, keeps them a little bit calmer and behavioral wise, but it puts less stress on the parents because they don't have to sit there and be like, shh, be quiet, don't get in there, don't sit down. It's less stressful for the mom. And then what it does also as well is obviously the kids are begging to come get adjusted because they want to get their Cairo bucks so they can get their t-shirt. And then on top of that, it's also teaching savings. So the parents really like that, like, okay, instead of getting a sucker or something today for $1, let's save your money up. So it teaches them responsibility. So it has tenfold perks to it. So these are what we created as far as that goes, and it's kind of been a hit. So, finding your niche, finding something fun for the kids to do, if that's what you want to practice, is definitely essential.
We need to put Jace up there.
No, because then the lights will go out.
Steve.
Steven only likes feminine touch. Jace, go handle the computer.
Do it.
Do it.
Go.
Christy would go.
I didn't touch it.
Play again.
What did you say, Terry, to do?
Reload. Refresh. Please try again later.
Jump to the internet.
This you want to go in the next direction.
Go over there, Terry.
Okay, you're fired.
Okay, to the left. To the right. Further to the right.
It should be. No, it's like a-
Is it? So it's not work going?
Working. It's gonna be very-
No, it's not on that, yeah, go down. Orchid? Yep.
Yeah.
It's AP Orchid is the password.
See you guys. Assumptions.
There it is.
1 hour to go, 1 hour to whiten. When you don't have the time, there's new Crest 3D White 1 Hour Express White Strips. Removes years of stains in just 1 hour. Whitening without the wait. Now get the best 3D White deal of the year at selected retailers.
She's a dental hygienist, just so you know.
In my past life. Students have to ask yourself, are you a leader? And do you possess those qualities? And if you don't, how are you gonna get them? I mean, there's a lot of very, very intelligent people in this room, we all know that, but who's gonna be the next Facebook Cairo guy, you know? How are we gonna stand out beyond the norm? What's gonna make us shine through? One of the things that we were talking about last weekend with one of the guys is that toothpaste didn't really become popular until they added mint to it. And that's when they really started, you know, getting people to use it. So what is going to be our mint as chiropractics? And in the wellness profession as well. So some some of the key components of being a leader in wellness, obviously, the easiest one, when Jeff said we need to talk about leadership and nutrition, I'm like, okay, that's gonna take me 2 seconds. You know, do what you say. It's pretty easy. Walk the walk and talk the talk. So how are we gonna do that beyond just doing that? So it's by showing and doing basically through everything. And I truly believe the key components of the chiropractic lifestyle are chiropractic, nutrition, exercise, massage, and then our power and prayer. And I didn't really notice a huge difference of combining all these until we finally did it in our office. And I was on board with nutrition. That was obviously easy for me. And the thing that got me into it was chiropractic and the lifestyle and watching Justin change lives. I mean, I was very, very comfortable in my profession, what I was doing. And to finally be around that and see the glory that you guys were doing and the things that you were doing and wanting to be part of that so bad that I said, see you later, and I started, you know, my new journey. And so, you know, I worked really hard with a lot of my clients, and we were hitting plateaus, and we weren't doing things that we needed to. And Justin and I sat down, and we tried to compose different ways we combine this, make it better. And once we did, we saw huge changes in a lot of our clients. So those are the keys, you know, to the optimum health. I'm gonna make a lot of referrals back and forth, but the first thing I want to share with you guys is Romans 12:2, and basically it says, "Do not conform to the patterns of this world." It's a constant thing I'm always telling myself every single day. Do not conform to today's society. Do not conform to the route that we're going. This path that we're leading down is not the path that's gonna put you someplace good. And this is a constant reminder because I get kind of caught up in the shakes and the vitamins and all the easy stuff that could help. And it's like, we gotta bring ourselves back to the basics, and the accountability is huge. And Justin's always like, honey, adjust the spine, eat good, exercise, take care of the mind, get a massage, we're good, you're okay, you don't need that special quotient. And that's where the world is today. We want that fix, that fast fix. And that's really hard to get out of that thinking. So it's really something that we have to really kind of go back to the basics and focus on. With chiropractic, the best way you can be a leader is to pay it forward. Obviously, that's what Big Fish is all about. And we know firsthand, you know, being one of the first clients going through, how much it's changed their life. I truly believe, and Justin and I were talking about this the other day at lunch, that we wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't for Jeff and the Big Fish program. I remember sitting down with me in our office that we currently buy, and he always asked me, like, you're just not excited, you're just not interested. And I'm like, it's a pipe dream. It's not gonna happen, it's a pipe dream. And Justin's like, no, it's gonna happen. And so I just kind of got to the point where I'm like, I'm not gonna worry about it, I'm gonna give it to God, and it happened. And look at where we are today. So what we learned in those 3 years with Dr. Jeff really truly formed us to who we are today, and I believe that we wouldn't be where we were at without them. So I definitely thank him for paying it forward to us. And that's why we're here. We want to do the same with everybody else. So the biggest thing you can do as chiropractic is lead your patients. So obviously we talked about doctor, you know, equals teacher, and that's the biggest thing you can do is obviously educate. I know firsthand from that. I grew up in a medical family. Every time I sneezed or had a drip in my eye, I was pumped full of antibiotics, and that was my life. That's all I knew. And so when Justin started, you know, saying things about no vaccinations and you don't need medications, all that stuff, I thought it was nuts, you know. And of course, you don't want to listen to your significant other. You don't want to listen to family. And I can tell you what, if you can get your family on board 100% with all this stuff, you can change anybody's mind. That's for sure. It's family hardest. But he took me down to a Maximize Living conference, and I heard a story from a doctor who basically it was the last resort. This baby was on life support. They were going to pull the plug, and the grandma called up and said, I don't know what to do, Greg, but I just want you to try it, see what happens. She was a constant patient of his, and she believed in him, but but the parents weren't quite there. So he walked in his street clothes, you know, just visiting, adjusted the C1, and within a day, the baby was off life support. So the C1 was jammed up into the skull and it was basically cutting the blood supply. It was just a normal birth. That's it. So that was enough for me to say, okay, there's something to this stuff. And I kept on, you know, wanting to do more, so I kept on going to seminars. If your wife or significant other is in here, you need to start bringing them. Because things like this is what's gonna feed them. And they're gonna become an advocate. And when you're gone till midnight at night, they're gonna understand why. Justin comes home and he's like, man, I really hope that you're okay with this, but I told this gal today that, you know, I'm gonna drive to her house on the way home every 3 days for the next 4 months and adjust her little boy because he needs us. I'm like, that's fine. That's okay, we'll find time. So in the morning, we drive to his house, we adjust him. A little Amelia goes, Brody, Brody, Brody. And she knows she's ruined his house, and that's our lifestyle. Because we know someday Brody's gonna open his eyes and he might see, he might walk. Right now, he's pooping, which is something he's never done, and he's smiling and talking, and he's a lot more interactive, and that's way beyond what he's ever done. He was basically threatened with a life tube or a feeding tube, and we got him up at least 3 pounds in the last month, just by saying, hey, let's throw some avocados and peanut butter in that shake versus the powdered crap that she was given by her medical professionals. And so it's really amazing that once you start educating everybody, and especially the ones that are closest to you, how much of an impact it can make on other people's lives. And then living the lifestyle, obviously, we all do a really good job of that. Learn the room, and that's pretty easy. Engaging your patients is a huge thing, and that's kind of what I say is like the Mickey Mouse or the Disney experience. Every patient needs that walking in the door, whether they're old or new. And last week, and I can't remember who it was, but they read kind of a poem that was based on a patient that had been there for 20 years, and it was like, you haven't noticed me. I've never missed an appointment, blah, 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 blah. And basically saying that all you've done is paid attention to the new people coming in the door, but I've been religious to you for the last 20 years, and now I'm done. And so we need to look at every single patient, engage them. Don't talk about the weather, don't talk about the twins, educate them. Use that time with them to help change their life or maybe somebody that's close to them. And then identify your client base. That goes back to the hero bucks. Decide who you want to treat. They'll come in the door and the rest will follow in. And I'm not saying like you only have to treat kids and you only have to treat certain people. But if you focus on that, the rest just come and they learn and they grow from there. And then most importantly is leading your staff. So, you know, teaching them through example, educating them as much as you can, making sure that you're taking them to seminars. One seminar, if you haven't gone to, and this is one that we're trying to make a goal in our office, is CalJam. I've had 2 friends that have taken their wives to CalJam, and one of them went home. She worked in a medical office, she quit her job, and now is working in her husband's office because of things that she learned at CalJam. It's a little crazy sometimes, and it has a little bit of you know, some manliness. We're getting some women in there, so that's good. But it's definitely an eye-opening experience, and it's a good refresher for a lot of people as well. And then just making sure that you're, you know, checking in with them once a week, making sure that everything's good and going as far as that goes, and just continuing to feed them with what you can, and having fun, obviously, is a huge thing. And then leading your family. So every single aspect has to go within your family. Because people are going to look at you and they're going to look at your family and they're going to notice the differences. And making God the center of your life and the center of your practice is really what's going to make it flourish. I know with our family, we make it a primary point to go in and get adjusted. I bring the kids after I pick them up so that people see us and know they're getting adjusted. Same thing with our staff. They're seeing our staff getting adjusted. And by that, they know that we're living what we're teaching. And then living in a life of certainty. And Justin kind of picked on this a little bit yesterday, but living on a life of certainty, you have to be certain when you're adjusting that mother's child, And you can say you can help them, and you have to say it with certainty, and you gotta live it, and you gotta do it, because it's gonna happen. Having faith in yourself and having that certainty is what's gonna make her trust you and believe in you. Living in certainty by not vaccinating my children, by feeding them the best nutrition they can have, by making sure they exercise, by knowing they're not getting sick during the winter because I'm living the lifestyle and they're living the lifestyle. And I don't have to worry about all the crap in the world that they could get sick from because they're healthy. And they're gonna stay that way because of the way we live. Nutrition is one of the hardest, most difficult things to kind of stay in line with, I think. Especially with all the research out there. Research can prove or disprove about anything. 1 week coffee is good for you, the next week it's bad for you. I have 2 articles I show clients, one that completely proves all the benefits of it and the other one disproves the benefits, and they completely contraindicate each other. One says that you shouldn't consume it if you're type 2 diabetic, and the other one says you should because it helps regulate blood sugar levels. So research can prove or disprove just about anything. It's all in the test subjects. And that just goes into play with how different our bodies are. Nutrition really, really plays on that part. You can, recommend a diet or any other form of anything, but that's why diets don't work. There's a billion books out there on diets. You can walk into Barnes & Noble and try to figure out which one to pull off the shelf that'll work for you, but more than likely it's not gonna. And just because it worked for the author who wrote the book doesn't mean it's gonna work for you, because your body's completely different. It's gonna react different. So we do a really hard analysis to try to figure out how each person reacts before we recommend anything for them as far as that goes. So the biggest thing you can do for your clients in nutrition is to show them it's possible. By showing them through your lifestyle that what you do is sustainable and it works, they're gonna trust you. I had a client that came in, and every time she brought her husband, he sat there like this, every single time. It was awesome for me, because I knew the more I educated him, the less the arms would come across, and then eventually he would come to the dark side. And finally one day I was just kind of sick of it, and I was like, you know what, it's time to talk about it. And I asked him, I said, what we're doing with your wife is really changing her. She's got energy, she's working out, she's seeing a lot of difference in her life. What's going on here? Like, what's your problem? Why aren't you helping her? Why aren't you doing things with her? You should be doing this right along with her. And he's like, gotta be honest with you, Christy. He's like, I've seen her for the last 20 years completely destroy her body. She's done the MedFast, she's done the Jenny Craig, she's done the weight loss, or, Weight Watchers, and I've seen her destroy her body. She's tried all these tonics, she's tried all this crap, and she's gone down 20 pounds, and then she's gone up 30, and then she's gone down 10 pounds, and then she's gone up 40. He's like, nothing works. So why should I believe that what you're doing is gonna work? And so you have to think about that. What are you educating them with? Are you giving them right things? Are you giving them false hope? You need to make sure what you're giving them is sustainable and doable. And so that's why we chose to go the route we did. When I picked my schooling based on Whole Foods. It's a holistic school, and that's what we teach our clients. We teach them how to fall in love with their food again, and not eat the box crap, and not put chemicals into their body, because that, along with a lot of things, are really bad chemical stressors, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then setting the foundation with your family. Again, I'm resorting back to the family because that's going to show people the difference. I get all the time, how do you get your kid to eat Brussels sprouts? How do you get your kid to do this? Why is he doing that? And it's because we're living by example, and I don't give them choices. I let them give choices, and the good thing is that they get to help with that. But with the number one failure that parents do is they take things out of their kids' diet, and because they don't like it, they won't put it back in. And our taste buds and everything change throughout time. If you're not reintroducing and reinserting that information into their heads, they're just going to grow up saying they don't like it. I was one of those kids. I grew up, meat, potatoes, green beans, and corn out of a can. wouldn't touch anything else. At age 27, like I said this morning, the only thing I won't eat is mushrooms.
It's a fungus.
I know, it's gross. So we just need to go back to the basics. We need to teach them lifestyle, not self-medication. And this is where it gets a little touchy, and into kind of more the medical profession. And I'm not going to sit here and bash the medical profession because that's not what it's about. I believe there's doctors out there, and there's medications, and there's things out there for a reason, and that it all comes to particular situations. I think our biggest battle and our biggest enemy who does not want us to share our testimonies are the drug companies. They have their hands in a lot, and I think that's going to be our biggest battle, especially as wellness experts. But the first thing we need to do is look at our client's lifestyle. What are they putting into their body? So the one example I'm going to use is Dr. Kyle. He sent out an email a week or two ago about two girls. Would they have bedwetting? How old?
13 and 7.
Okay, 15 and 17. So one of the question was basically shout it out to the group. And so those who aren't big fish, this is a great advantage. A lot of times we don't always have the answers, but we have a whole group of people to help us with those and help us with the testimonies and experiences to make our clients better. So it's awesome. It's a resource. So the question was, what do I do? He's been adjusting, and no results. And some of the answers were related to adjusting. I'm not going to get into that because I don't know a whole lot of lingo that well. But a couple other choices were diet, reducing sugar, possibly dairy, looking at that, and then supplements. And they're all really good suggestions, but I want to kind of retrain you guys to kind of think a little bit different. Obviously, chiropractic, number one. It's obviously a neurological issue. Something's going on there. Number two should be nutrition. What's in their diet? What are they putting into their bodies that might be affecting that? Number three is their lifestyle. What are they doing on a regular basis that might be causing this? I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on a lot of stuff, which I'm not, because I'm always learning. But the night that we were in California, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I went, they have bladder infections. Like, where the heck did that come from? But it's like I told Justin, I said, I think God was just telling me the answer. But sometimes when women take multiple baths, they have allergic reaction to the soap. And it can cause many bladder infections that are non-detectable. I have a client right now that I'm working with, same exact thing. Except for she's older, so she has just frequent urination. And they did a urinalysis, whatever. And she took a lot of baths, so we cut that out. And we worked on a few elimination of sugar and adjusting more often, and they're done. She doesn't have any issues. So we got to kind of retrain ourselves sometimes to look at certain things and do it in a certain order that's going to be most beneficial, and starting with the basics, and that's with chiropractic, and going that way. A lot of the stuff that they're putting in their bodies are chemical stressors, so food, medications, could be drugs, alcohol, you name it. They're all chemical stressors. And what I found a lot of times with the clients I was working, if they weren't getting adjusted, or if they weren't working out, if they weren't taking care of some of those other chemical stressors, we hit the plateau and wouldn't be able to go anywhere with them. And then they just get frustrated and fail. And the same thing with chiropractic. You can adjust the person 100 times over, and they're 80 pounds overweight, and it's not going to matter. The extra weight's going to not help hold the adjustment as well as it should, so they're not going to see the results. So when we look at people, we have to look at everything that they're putting in their bodies and everything that's affecting what we're working on, and kind of put it together as a whole. And that's kind of where the whole optimal balance comes into play. So we're going to talk a little bit on Big Pharma, and I have another video. I'll see if I can figure this one out. This is one that we had been introduced to this weekend, so Bill and Kelly.
At first, I was sitting in an empty room, filmed in black and white. I had a sullen look on my face, indicating I was suffering from some kind of debilitating illness.
And then an actress portraying his wife stepped up behind him and explained that the problem was only getting worse and that he needed to take action.
But how?
You should talk to your doctor about drug.
Drug?
Yes, drug. The legit-sounding medical breakthrough that just got FDA approved last week thanks to intense pressure from pharmaceutical lobbyists.
So I talked to an actor dressed as a doctor in what clearly wasn't a doctor's office, and he recommended I start taking drug immediately. Then the camera panned up and slowly faded to white.
Now we're being filmed in color, and everything is great.
That's right, we're not allowed to say that drug is going to solve all your problems by showing us running around acting like children
Taking in the sights.
and enjoying a delicious ice cream cone.
The drug manufacturers can imply that their product has clearly changed our lives.
This is the part of the commercial where we tell you about all the side effects associated with drug. It's important we get through this list as quickly as possible, so you don't remember any of the truly dangerous problems that we mentioned.
Problems like liver failure, suicidal thoughts,
Bowel dislocation, and heart stoppage.
as well as sudden thoughts of cannibalism. But don't you worry about that.
Because now we're surrounded by adorable kittens.
Talk to your doctor about drug today.
Drug. Vague statement of a better life. Or something.
So that's what we're up against. In all seriousness, we have a client that we're working with really hard, and she is on her, she just finished 12 weeks of wellness, and she's going to start some more. And I have thrown all diet, all nutrition out the door right now because we're just trying to get her self-worth to wanting to even function on a daily basis. She's on 5 different blood pressure medications because one didn't work. So let's just put her on 4 more. How many antidepressants and depression medications? We don't even know. Ambien, you name it, she's on it. A list of some.
Sleep medication.
Yeah. And so one day, I asked her, I said to her, okay, Lori, let's talk about your issues, your symptoms, what's going on. She can't sleep. She can't eat because she doesn't feel good. She feels nauseous. She's tired all the time. She never wants to leave her house. She has anxiety and probably about 10 other different issues. So I went through her list of medication and I found all the side effects. And I highlighted every single one of them that she had an issue with on every single medication. It was a packet this thick. I gave it to Dr. Ross. I said, give this to her and see what she says. And she looked at it and she goes, oh, they cause anxiety, they cause depression, they cause nausea, they cause restlessness, they cause failure to whatever. I mean, every single thing that she had wrong with her, these medications had that as a side effect. And so I sat down with her and I'm like, okay, can you tell me how do you feel now versus when you weren't on the medications? Because this girl's miserable. And she goes, well, I don't know. I've been on them so long I couldn't tell you. I said, so if these are supposed to get rid of anxiety and depression, why do you still have it? Why are we medicating people for issues when it's not helping? It's supposed to, medications are supposed to get rid of the symptoms. If you think of blood pressure medication, I don't have blood pressure medication anymore, says my father. Okay, what caused your blood pressure? Well, I don't know, but I don't have it. I don't have high blood pressure anymore because I take medications. And I'm like, Dad, no, what caused your high blood pressure? Well, I don't know. How about the fact that you eat fried chicken and hamburgers and french fries and you fill your body full of crap? But we're going to cover up the symptoms with a medication and allow you to keep eating that way and kill yourself eventually. You're going to die from a heart attack because you're eating crap. But don't worry, your blood pressure is low because you're taking medications. This isn't doing anything for anyone. It's killing people. You can take 2 years of your life and eat really, really well and cure hypothyroidism. Ask Andrea Beeman, she did it. She was told that she would have to radiate her thyroid and be on a medication for the rest of her life. And she chose to be patient and take 2 years to dedicate to a diet that cured her disease. And the doctors, she went to 3 of them because she wanted 3 opinions, told her she would never, ever, ever get rid of it. Ever. So imagine if we take that patience, the whole food, the patience, the nutrition, and add that to chiropractic, because she didn't do chiropractic. You think it would have went a little bit faster? And then added exercise in there? And maybe some meditation and prayer and massage? I think so. So here's where it gets a little deep, so bear with me. But I'm going to go back to the Word. And in the Bible, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, it talks about pharmacy. The Old English word, obviously pharmacy, means making of medications and supplements. Pharmacia is a Greek word, means sorcery. That is where we devise our old version of pharmacy. So if you go back to the Bible and you look at all these verses that have sorcery and witchcraft, they're technically, in my mind, relating that to pharmaceuticals in general. And Galatians 5:19 says, "Those who practice witchcraft will not enter the kingdom of heaven." Okay? So then we're going to go into Revelations. In Revelations, 4 times, it talks about sorcery, aka pharmaceuticals. 4 times. The last book of the Bible. So what's that tell you if you're thinking forward? Do you think that pharmacy is going to be related to the end times, perhaps? I don't know. Is it going to destroy us? I think so. Revelations 18:23 says, "The light of the lamp will never shine in you again. The voice of the bridegroom and the bride will never be heard in you again. Your merchants were the world's great men. By your magic spell, and all the nations were led astray. In her was found the blood of the prophets and all the saints, and all that who have been killed on the earth." In other different version, it basically says, in general, that the sorceries will help with the end of times. It's a really hard one to kind of take, but it's very interesting because I truly believe that all this self-medication, all the things we're doing, I mean, you look at all the school shootings, a lot of those kids are in antidepressants. So you just got to think about, what are we going to do for our clients? What are we going to do for our patients to help them? So it's teaching them these lifestyles and installing them into them as much as you can. Another definition of pharmacia is a substance used to poison someone to prevent and treat disease or cause disease or control one's behaviors. Do you think that those drugs that Lori's on is controlling her behaviors, perhaps? Do you think that she's hit her potential of where she could be and what she could do? I think she's held back. I think she's dumbed down. So, on another note, we found chiropractic in the Bible as well. So we're on the good team. Ephesians 4 says, "Rather, speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into Him who is the head, into Christ, from whom the body joined and held together by every joint with which it is equipped, when each part is working properly, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love." Thank you, Justin Sands, for pulling that out last night, because I needed that for the test today. So, yeah, we're on the good side. We're not in Revelations. So think of that. And this is where prayer becomes a big part of our lives. Our practice did an hour of power for a month. It was one of the best months we've ever had. So we really put ourselves on purpose, and that just kind of goes to show. But prayer and meditation is really good for stress, reducing that stress hormone. The cortisol hormone is our biggest enemy, especially as females. But they're starting to realize that it actually works as an endocrine organ. So if your thyroid's sending its hormones down in your basically belly fat, collects it, guess what? Your thyroid's not doing what it's doing. And it's also starting to release estrogen, which puts you more dependent for breast cancer, especially if you're a female. If you have that form of estrogen-dependent cancer in your genes. So always make sure that you're practicing this, and always try to get your clients to do this as well, because it only makes them a better person, and it helps them get out, on the right foot every day. I did this with Lori and it was a good exercise, and you know, it was really easy for her to write down the 10 things that she's really bad at, and really, really impossible for her to pick up positives. So the power of prayer, carrying faith through, is basically giving it to God, and then even if things aren't going your way, just keep praying, because if you pray through the worst of the worst, the light at the end of the tunnel is amazing. Don't worry about anything, instead pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all that He has done. Then you will experience God's peace. So we try to install this a lot in our clients, that you just need to give it to God and eventually it'll go. And the massage. Massage is really great. It works with chemical stressors, physical stressors, muscle soreness, flexibility, reduces stress, obviously complements chiropractic, and it really helps with detox. Our massage therapists are awesome. They're a huge advocate of ours. We work hand in hand with each other. We make sure, especially with our ABS wellness clients, that we're communicating back and forth, especially the doctors with them, on ways to help the client, especially with flexibility and issues as far as that goes. And then exercise. I have one last one, and then we'll do our testimony, since we're running a little behind. But since someone wasn't here, and I've already tortured most of you this morning, I just wanted to share a little exercise routine with you that...
Okay, everybody, let's take this next hill. Excuse me. Yeah, I'd appreciate it if you just let me run this. You know what? You had your chance. You're no leader. Up out of your seat. Let's march. Don't listen to him. We're approaching a cool down a gentle hill. No! The hill's a trap. Let's take the dirt road off. No, guys, no. We're just cooling down. If they catch us, they will rape us. Go for the cliff. And 3, 2, 1, jump! No! You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. Good jump. You're barely alive. Okay, now, nice cool down. Check your pulse rate.
Has anybody ever had that happen to them? That'd be pretty awesome. But my question for you is, how many of your patients walking in the door are half dead? How many of them are being held accountable to work out from you guys? Are you teaching that to them? Are you holding them accountable for that? We are a sedentary life. We don't move anymore. We're stuck at our desks. We just don't do anything anymore. So exercise is huge, and it's very, really important to make sure that you're encouraging all your clients to do that. And I have a few things set up that will help you out with that. You know, everybody has a really big clinic, so there's a lot of room, so we'll be able to figure out some things to do, which we'll talk about later. Making sure that you're holding them accountable, engaging them. Exercise is the best prescription you can write for your clients. It reduces that stress hormone, gets them moving, for that fat mass to lean mass. But the biggest issue that most people have is accountability. And I know that firsthand. I was doing really well going to my kettlebell class every Tuesday and Thursday morning, because I knew my chicks were waiting for me. But the rest of the days I was not doing so well. And so I took it upon myself to find myself my accountability partners, and I put something on Facebook to our neighborhood saying, hey, I want somebody to meet me on the corner every morning to go for a run so that I'm being held accountable. And it works. We all need it. So how do you take all these and put them into perfect formula? And it's really difficult. I'm not saying that there's one way to do this, but the way we found to do this is through 8 Weeks of Wellness. And we looked through a lot of wellness programs, and this just kind of seemed to be the one that resonated with us. So, like I said, you know, look at them. If this is something you're interested in, we're more than happy to answer questions. But what it does is it incorporates it all together. They see the chiropractor 1 to twice a week, depending on their needs. They see me once a week. I work on their logs. They have to log. It's a whole part of the accountability. I work on making sure they're getting nice balanced meals. I make sure that they're getting enough calories. If you restrict their calories, then they're just storing. And I do a lot of lifestyle stuff as well. Psychological, obviously, is a big thing. So we work a lot with that. They see our personal trainer twice a week, and then they're responsible 3 times a week on their own to do cardio, and it's high intensity cardio. So it's not running for 30 minutes. It's doing stuff like the stairs this morning, things that are going to bring your heart rate up. They see the massage therapist once a week, and then they're responsible for meditation or prayer for 20 minutes every day. the office leaders in our office, this program would not be doable without everybody that's in there. From the chiropractors to the billing to the personal trainers, massage therapists. We've had people call in and they would have never came had Amanda not answered that phone perfectly. They would have never ever even thought of the program had Jill not figured out their billings for them and making financial things that are affordable for them. We do really well at making it affordable. It's their lifestyle, it's an investment. They're gonna invest in it, it's expensive, and that's because we want them to invest in their health. Our personal trainers, massage therapists, chiropractors, they all have key roles to make it a functional wheel. And if we're not all on purpose and we're not all taking responsibility of our positions and being leaders, we're all gonna fail together. So what they do is they come in and they can have a wellness score. And the biometrics are really huge for people. Definitely something that if you don't do a wellness score in your office, I highly recommend it, because who wants to get an F on life? Not a whole lot of people. And you get teachers in your office, which right now they've kind of not been the best in patients, but we're getting there. They definitely don't want an F. But these numbers don't lie. We can't make this stuff up. So if they have an F, they have an F. We can't change it, we can't make it look better, we can't make it look worse. These are the numbers. This is their life on paper. And it takes everything from their weight to their BMI to blood work. And this also helps us kind of do recommendations as far as diet and nutrition. Yes. Yep. And so this person went from an F to a C- in 8 weeks. So this is Marcia. We make every single one of our staff members go through this program, and the reason being is A, they know what's going on, but B, they form a huge support staff for every single person going through. So when someone comes in and they're tired and they're struggling, or they don't feel good, we can say, you know, Amanda can be like, hey, up your fish oils, or, you know, yeah, the ultra milk sucks, you know, put some coconut oil or water in it and it'll taste better. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really important. We all have our responsibility of making sure that each person that walks in that door, whether they're there for just an adjustment or a workout, has us, every single one of us, as a resource. So Marcia lost 55 pounds in the 8-week program. She's up past 65 now. She's continuing to still going. So it shows that it's definitely sustainable. It's not a quick fix. It's nothing that's going to be, oh, thanks for your 8 weeks, see you later. Good luck. She lost 12 inches. Jesse, I love Jesse's story. He was our free trial. We ran 3 people through the program for free, and it tenfolded his life. He was 35 years old, on blood pressure medication, no energy, couldn't sleep, just high wired, and he, after the second or third week, got off his blood pressure medications. He lost 37 pounds in the program and went from a D+ to a B+. The nice thing about Jesse is that his wife went along with him. She didn't do the program in her office, but she kind of followed along in that. And then on top of that, it remoted down into his kids. His one little boy has what they think is ADHD, and a lot of the things that we did as far as diet improved his skill set at school and stuff. So it definitely trickled down.
Can you go back to Marshall once? Doesn't Marshall look incredible right there?
I know.
Oh, yeah.
And look at her. She's been a monster. I mean, she's killed it.
It's a lot of work.
I even just see like the facial expression, how like she looks like 10 times happier in the picture on the right too.
Yep.
And this job has saved my life. I truly believe it. I went back from Thanksgiving. I have five brothers and 4 sisters. Everybody looks so overweight and so sick. And I just think, I was like that, 9 months ago. That was me. And had I not taken this job and started the program, and not just, 1/3 of that, you got chemical, you got chemical and physical, but you've got mental. And that third is also incredibly change that part too, which is in thanks to people in this office. It's an experience. It's fantastic.
I walked into the gym this morning with Matt, and Christy and Marcia are already dripping sweat at 5:45 this morning, and then we did 3 sets of 10 flights of stairs, and then lifted weights and ran a little bit on the treadmill, and Matt and I left, and who's still there?
I was done with breakfast and she's
She's
just
still
coming
going. Impressive. You're my hero.
Just today.
And this is Christine. I'm going to let Ross take the floor on this one. It's all yours.
Christine, well, a lot of the associates can really feel, even the doctors now, we do lots and lots and lots of screenings. And it gets tedious at times, and you just kind of go through the motions, and that present time consciousness, I know Jeff here talking about yesterday when you're doing those screenings, and just realizing the lives that you can literally save. And I met Christine at Women's Expo last year, and there was, I think, 3 other chiropractic booths there. She happened to come to ours, she happened to come to me, and she happened to finally come into the office. She'd never seen a chiropractor. She came in for headaches. And did we skip over the headaches part? The first portion? I'll try to do that, to try to cut the video down because it's kind of long. She's actually our first testimonial that we did. She went through the 8 Weeks of Wellness program. I will let her kind of tell the story, but lots of mental stuff going on with her, and she will portray it. We had many, many cry sessions, and this was after the 8 weeks, and this was something that just blew me away. It's hard to say that I'm lucky to be able to experience that, especially so young in the profession, but it's very, very humbling, and you're going to see how big of an impact that we made on her life, and we literally saved her life. And it's not because of a heart attack or anything like that. So we will just kind of let Christine take the floor. Don't worry about that.
So Christine, what brought you to the Bears County office?
My hikes, reverse curve, my neck. So I just be extra special, but I saw results really fast. I just Look, I mean, my neck felt better. I just tell that, I wasn't getting it.
What was the kind of the it factor, the why? Why did you join that program?
Oh, here's where it gets really intense. The headaches, they were infrequent, and like I had said, I was on an antidepressant for the headaches. Well, it was more, the antidepressant was to deal with the headaches that were a symptom of the fact that I had insomnia, and the insomnia was a symptom of major depression that I had been fighting for about 10 years at that point. And I was to the point where I think I was coming in only 2 times a week to the office. But at that point, those 2 sessions every week, I was coming in tears. And I just got really tired of crying in the office. No, it was one of those things that I have battled depression off and on for 10 years. It started when I was 17 and I was 27 at the time, and it just was getting out of control. I think a month or 2 before I signed up for 8 Weeks to Wellness, I got this major promotion, and I should have been so excited about it. And I was, in my own way, but I just remember thinking after I accepted the position that I got it by default because nobody else interviewed for it. And that's not true. Like, I am one awesome teacher, and it's my life's passion, and that's what I brought to the table. At the time, that's not what I thought I brought to the table. And you were so very gentle with me. And
it took some time.
It took some time, and it was just like, you just think you should try it, there's no obligation, and I was like, okay, fine. And so I went, and again, just little things that kind of put it in perspective. I remember there was a couple behind me at my orientation with a little girl, and I had more time with the little girl than listening to Dr. J. But the times that I was attending, they were like they were my aha moments. And I remember one of them was the list of medication that people were on. And granted, at the time, I was only on one antidepressant, and it was super low dosage, but it was not helping. I mean, to be honest, it was not helping. And, he was talking about how people get off of these medications that they're on. And I remember growing up, my dad was on probably a list as long as the person that, is in the slideshow. And just remembering, like, our counter looked like a Walgreens. And, like, I didn't want to get to that point. I did not want to get to that point. I knew that if I kept going the way I was going, I was going to need a stronger medication. And I didn't like being on a stronger medication when I was on it before. And I just knew that that was the road that I was headed at, was that I was going to have to go on an antidepressant. And I know how it works. I work with at-risk kids who have EDD issues, who have, mental health issues. They don't ever just put you on one medication. Like, I was really lucky that, like, I was on a time crunch when I went to go see the doctor who put me on mine, and she was like, fine, we'll just try this. But I was on an unlimited prescription. Like, this lady was all like, we'll just do it. And, I mean, that's where it was at. And I remember getting my wellness score, and that's when it really hit me that, like, I needed to do this. I am such a perfectionist. I've never gotten a D before in my life. And, like, I looked at it, and, like, I got a D, and I got a D on living. Like, who does that? And for me, that was the hardest part, was I was 27 at the time. Like, I was getting a D on living my life, and I just cried. And I will never forget that moment where we were just sitting there in silence, and I looked at you and I said, and you were like, you don't have to do this. And I told you, and it's one of the most profound moments I've ever had, was I told you the truth, and I was so scared of the truth, was if I didn't do AWW, I would have killed myself. And I've never gotten to that point before. I've had self-harm behavior before. I was never a cutter, but I had self-harm behavior, and I had never gotten to that point before where I was so scared that if I didn't do something, it was going to be it. And for me, the D of my wellness score was such a big deal because the reason why I had suffered from depression for so long was because my mom had passed away. And I always wanted to live my life in a way that would make her proud. But I was just letting it hold me back, and there's no way she would have wanted me to get a D on living my life. And so my why was literally because if I didn't do something, I was going to do something stupid. And, I didn't care about the weight thing. Like, I knew I was overweight. I mean, 160 pounds on a 5-foot frame, that's overweight. And I knew I was overweight, but I'd never, at that point, it didn't bother me because it wasn't like, I didn't feel fat, I didn't feel like that was the thing. And I have done, let me tell you, I have done the weight loss game since I was like 14 years old. I was just a chubby kid. Like, that's just the way it worked. I was my mom's only child, and she indulged me. And she just did. She spoiled me, and I'm the youngest of 5. Like, it was kind of a problem, but the weight thing was never an issue for me. And I signed up, and I remember telling you, I was like, if I don't lose a pound, I don't care. My goal was to get off the antidepressant and for my mood to change. And within, I would say, 2.5 weeks of the program, I was off my antidepressant, and I haven't looked back. I haven't touched it.
That's so awesome. So we've been through meeting at a woman's expo, to chair massage, to headaches, to decreasing the headaches, to looking at a whole wellness overhaul, to the whole reason why you did it, which is a huge why, and that's what people need to find. And now that we got through all that fun stuff and even more crying, which we don't get as much anymore, which is awesome. But then, how was the program? I mean, I know you said 2 weeks into it you were off your meds, but I mean, how was the actual program? How was the 8 weeks?
It's probably one of the most intense things I've ever done in my life, and I wouldn't have it any other way. You get what you put in, and I didn't think I could do it. I did not think I could do it. I remember after my first workout with Simona, I was like, oh my God, I did not do it. I didn't, and it just goes to show how my mindset was, because I was so upset after that first workout with her because I was having such a hard time with the, doing the kettlebells properly, and like I said, I'm such a perfectionist that I was like, seriously, I can't do this. And then it just got easier. And it surprised me how easy, especially the nutrition was for me. Like, I love my cookies and cakes and I love my carbs, but it was just easy. I mean, that first week was really intense, and part of it was because I wasn't doing it exactly the way I was supposed to, but I had the support. I had Dr. J asking me, you asking me, Christy asking me, even Amanda up front asking me, like, how are you doing? Like, we know the first week is really intense. Like, what's going on? And we figured it out, I think, by, like, Thursday, that I just wasn't eating enough right for my breakfast. But, that it's a great program in that way, is you get what you put in. And if you do not have a solid why, it is a waste of your money. It is. It's a waste of your money, but it'll change your life, but it won't change your life the way that it should. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I had a friend when I was going through my self-harm phase, where she was like, you need to go to therapy, you need to go to therapy. I was like, okay, fine, whatever, I don't want to go to therapy. And not that therapy's bad, it's a good thing, but I think just coming here and knowing that I had all of that support, I had Christy, I had you, Dr. J's not even my primary doctor, and he would stop me and he would tell me, you just look happy. And I think for me, that was always the biggest thing, was that's what I wanted. I wanted to be a happy person. I wanted to be that positive person again that I know that I could be, that I was before. I had phases where it went away. And, and Marsha, God love Marsha, who just knew that there were certain weeks where, like, she needed to beat the crap out of me because of how hard I was working. Or those weeks where it was quiet music and she didn't even really talk to me, and it was just calming, and it was the self-care that I needed. Like, it's just, the program in and of itself, like how it's, set up with the nutrition and the supplements and the workouts, like, that's all well and good, but I think people, I know other chiropractic offices do it and other clinics do it, but I just feel like the experience you get at Woodbury Spine is very specific, and it's very loving and welcoming, and that's what I needed. And I needed somebody who would be gentle with me when I needed them to be gentle with me, but then I also needed somebody who would tell me, if you were going to obsess about that number on that scale, guess what? You don't get to see it anymore. Because I get a little obsessive, which is why I told you, I was like, I can't do this for weight. If I do this for weight, I'm going to be obsessive, and I'm not going to do it the healthy way. And I think that's the best part about the program and about the staff here, is you guys are so good about knowing what we need. You know that those of us who are doing 8 weeks to wellness, we're a little fragile. And that's good. Like, I do need to be handled with care sometimes, but I also need that person, especially God loves me.
So, excuse me, we're going to cut it short here just because I know we're running out of time, but I could literally dissect this video for a 2-hour session and take out so many nuggets. The why is such a huge thing. The base layers of her mom passing, the depression, the self-harm stuff. We don't know all this stuff that's going on with every person that we come in contact with, because they're just not going to tell you. She had to go through all this to be able to bring it out. She didn't tell me about any of this stuff until after the program. And it will just hit you like a ton of bricks when you figure out how much we're actually touching these people. And the fact that Justin and Christy picked this great program is giving us the opportunity to do that. So just don't take it for granted what we can actually do with these people. And the crappy thing is she goes on to talk about her dad, and her dad actually passed away a month and a half, 2 months ago, so she's lost both her parents now, and she's like 28. She got her dad to come into the office, and he was classic, he's overweight, he's on all these medications, and he was on a painkiller. And she finally got him to come in. And he quit care for about 3 weeks and then passed away. But he was in for about 2 months. And she said and she goes on and tells it in the story that it's the happiest 2 months that he's had since his wife has passed. And the fact that we can give that to him, and all we did was adjustments, but it still wasn't enough because we could have saved his life getting him into the program. So we 100% dropped the ball on that and did not push hard enough because he went to his medical doctor after 2 months of care and he was off his pain medication. He didn't have neck pain anymore. And guess what? The doctor said, you can't see a chiropractor because they're going to cause a stroke and you're going to die. So he quit care and he literally died 3 weeks later. So when we talk about actually this knowledge that we have and telling it to everybody, tell it to everybody and be pushy with it. Because if you're not, you're literally writing them a prescription and that prescription could be death.
Amen.
Thank you guys. I know that we went a little over, so I apologize, but not really, because I allowed that. That was powerful. We're going to make up our time, so don't worry. We'll figure it out, and we're going to get all the presentations done and in. So just bear with me, work with me, and we're going to get there. Okay, so here's the plan. At this point, we are breaking up, and I need doctors to remain here. Students becoming doctors remain here. Associates remain here. I need all support staff. Billing, marketing, massage, front desk, managers, that kind of thing. Spouses can do this as well. Go with Annie, okay? Now, I know there are a few of you that may need to deal with your bags out of your room or something like that. So, Annie, just so you know, there might be a 5-minute window here. Are you all set up over there?
No, I'm coming to get Terry. Actually.
Oh, okay. So Terry, jump on over there. So go ahead and take the break. We're going to take the full time that's allotted.